You've shopped at the same grocery store for years. You know the layout without thinking about it. Which aisle has the coffee, where they moved the bread that one time. And lately, walking through it, something feels off in a way you can't quite put into words. The shelves are full, the lights are on, nothing is obviously wrong. And yet the place feels colder somehow, less like somewhere you belong and more like somewhere you're being processed. Here's what almost nobody realizes. That feeling is not in your head, and it is not really about the prices. While you were busy watching the number at the register climb, the store around you became something else entirely. The cameras on the ceiling aren't only watching for shoplifters. The screen at self-checkout isn't only ringing up your items. The cart you're pushing may be taking notes. Somewhere in the last few years, without any announcement at all, the American grocery store started watching you back. We talk endlessly about groceries getting more expensive, and they have. But that conversation is the surface, and in a strange way, it's almost a distraction from the real one. The real story isn't what the store is charging you. It's what the store is quietly taking from you on every single visit, the part that has nothing to do with money. And by the end of this, you'll understand exactly what's been running in the background of your weekly grocery run, why it got there, and how it arrived without you ever noticing. Because every time you walk through those doors now, the store is learning something. Not something you told it, something it took. Let's start with the surface though, because it's what everyone feels first, and it's real. You walk in, you grab your usual things, you get to the register, and the total is higher than it should be. Again. Food prices have climbed by something like a third since before the pandemic, and that's not a small adjustment. That's a generational change in what it costs to feed a family. But here's the thing about that. Most people have already made a grim peace with high prices. They've adjusted, gritted their teeth, and accepted it. What actually gnaws at people is quieter than the price, and it's this. Even paying more, you're somehow getting less. The cereal box looks identical, but weighs a little less than it did 2 years ago. The bag of chips is somehow half air. The ice cream container slimmed down while the lid stayed the same size, so you'd never catch it at a glance. There's a name for this now, shrinkflation, and people are talking about it at their own kitchen tables because they're living it every week. And it goes further. The 2-for-1 deals people built their budgets around are vanishing. The coupons are worth less. Even the number of different products on the shelf has shrunk as chains cut their variety down to the top sellers. Higher prices, smaller boxes, fewer deals, fewer choices. Put it all together and you get one specific feeling. The cart just doesn't fill up the way it used to. And that feeling is completely real. But here's why that matters, and it's not the reason you'd expect. Because all of that, the prices and the shrinking boxes, is the part of the change you're allowed to see. It's the surface. And while everyone's attention is fixed on the receipt, the far bigger change happens somewhere you're not looking at all. That feeling that something's off isn't really about the price. It's about what the price is standing in front of. So look up from the receipt for a second, at the front of the store, because something disappeared there, and most people never consciously noticed. Think about what a grocery store felt like 20 years ago. Not the products, the feeling of the place. There was a person at the register who might recognize you. Someone stocking shelves who'd notice you looking lost and point you to the aisle before you even asked. You might run into a neighbor by the produce. None of those moments were big, they lasted seconds, but they added up into something, a sense that the store was a place, part of a neighborhood, and not just a building where transactions happen. Now, walk into that same store, same footprint, same row of 10 checkout lanes, but most of those lanes are dark. One cashier, maybe two, and the rest turned into a wall of self-checkout screens. The vast majority of grocery stores in America run this way now. And it didn't happen because anyone hated cashiers. It happened because the math changed. Labor got expensive, machines got cheap, and the calculation started coming back with a different answer. So the people got reorganized out, slowly and then all at once. The store runs leaner now. It also feels a lot less like anywhere you belong. That's not nostalgia. It's a description of something that is actually gone. And notice what happened in that trade, because it's stranger than it first looks. When the cashier disappeared, the work didn't. It just moved on to you. You scan now. You bag now. You hunt for the code for the loose vegetables now. You clear the error now. You do the job the store used to pay a person to do for free, and you do it while being watched. A machine that was sold to you as saving time mostly saves the store money and hands you the labor and the waiting in return. Stand at one of those terminals when it freezes and starts flashing for help, and you can watch the promise invert in real time. The thing built to be faster leaves you stranded there, doing unpaid work, waiting for the one remaining employee to walk over and unlock the machine so you can finish your own checkout. You became staff without noticing, and the only thing you got for it was the privilege of being watched a little more closely while you worked. That's not convenience. It's a cost shifted off the store's books and onto your shoulders, wrapped up to look like a favor. Have you felt this shift in your own store? The quiet that settles over a place that used to have people in it? Drop it in the comments. I read every one, and I'm genuinely curious how different it feels where you live. And here's where this gets heavier than a matter of convenience, because those small human moments were doing something we never counted. Roughly 1 in 3 adults now reports feeling lonely on a regular basis, and that sounds like a separate story, a health headline, until you connect it to this. For a person who lives alone, whose whole day runs from work to home and back, the trip to the grocery store was often the one place they spoke to another human being, not a real conversation. A few words at the register, a nod at the deli counter, a tiny, ordinary moment that reminded them they existed in a world with other people in it. Picture a man in his 70s, a widower, who doesn't have much reason to talk to anyone most days. For years, the woman at his checkout lane knew his name and asked about his week, and those 90 seconds were, some days, the only time anyone acknowledged he was alive. That lane is a self-checkout now. He scans his own few items in silence, and a screen tells him to place his item in the bagging area, and he goes home. The store is still open. Everything's still on the shelves. But the one small thread of human contact it used to hand him for free is simply gone, and nobody decided to take it from him on purpose. It just wasn't efficient. That's not a story about groceries. That's what it looks like when a place stops being for people. Now, here's the next thing that changed, and it would have seemed bizarre just a few years ago. You go to grab something simple, toothpaste, razors, a bottle of shampoo, and you can't. It's locked behind a plastic case. To buy a $4 item, you have to press a button, wait, and find an employee with a key. Retailers do this because theft and shrinkage cost the industry well over $100 billion a year, and on groceries' razor-thin margins, locking up the most stolen items can be the difference between profit and loss. On a spreadsheet, it's logical. But stand in front of that locked case for a second and feel what it does. You didn't do anything, and yet the store has arranged itself around the assumption that you might. It's a small, low humming insult, layered into the most ordinary errand of your week. And here's the part the retailers didn't count on. Study after study finds that a lot of people, faced with the locked case and the wait, simply walk away. They don't press the button, they just leave the item and go to another store, to an app, or without. So the lock built to stop losses quietly creates its own. But notice what the locked case really is underneath. It's the moment the store stopped treating you as a guest and started treating you as a risk to be managed. And that same instinct, once it takes hold, doesn't stay at the locked case. It spreads to the whole building in a form you can't see at all. Because here's the thing that actually changed, the one hiding behind all the rest. Look up at the ceiling. That camera isn't only watching for thieves anymore, and it isn't only being watched by a bored guard in a back room. A growing majority of large retailers are now running artificial intelligence across their stores for security, for inventory, for watching the floor. And this is different from everything else, because everything else you can see. The high price, you see it. The smaller box, you feel it. The self-checkout, you stand at it. The locked case, you stop in front of it. But the AI has no face. It makes no sound. It doesn't announce itself. It's a small sensor clipped to a shelf, a camera bracket that looks like every other camera bracket, a colored flash on the self-checkout screen that's gone in under a second. Nothing about it calls attention to itself. So here's what's actually running behind it. When you pick up a product, consider it and put it back. That hesitation can be logged, not to accuse you, but because across thousands of people a day, it becomes a pattern, a map of what tempts and what gets rejected. When you pause in front of a display a beat longer than average, that pause can become a data point. When you scan an item at self-checkout and the screen flickers, that's often a system comparing what the camera sees in the bagging area against what you scanned, weighing it, checking it, judging it, all before you reach for the next item. You never see it work. Almost always, nothing comes of it. But it is running continuously on every transaction in nearly every major store you walk into. It was there the last time you shopped. It was almost certainly there the time before that. It arrived with no announcement, blended into hardware already on the walls, and by the time anyone started asking questions, it had been running for years. If any of this is landing differently than you expected, if you're seeing your grocery run in a new light right now, a like helps this reach people who haven't heard it yet. Takes 1 second, and that's genuinely the only reason I mention it. And then there's the last place you'd ever look, the thing you put your hands on every single visit, the shopping cart. For 100 years, a cart was a basket on wheels and nobody gave it a thought. Now, a growing number of stores are rolling out carts with a screen on the handle, a scanner in the frame, sensors in the basket, carts that tally your whole trip as you go and let you pay without ever seeing a register. And the convenience is real. But convenience was never the only job. Every item you drop in, the cart logs. Every item you pull back out, it logs. The thing you carried 2 aisles and reconsidered and returned to the shelf, that little moment of doubt, recorded. How long you lingered in each section, whether the offer that popped up on the screen changed what you did next. All of it becomes data. And here's the piece that reframes the whole store. The item you picked up and put back didn't make the store a dime, but it handed over something almost more valuable, a signal, evidence of what caught your eye and what you decided against. Multiply that by hundreds of thousands of shoppers over months, and it becomes one of the most valuable things the store owns, sometimes worth more in aggregate than the food in the cart. That's why the friendly question at checkout, "Do you have the app? Can I get your number for the rewards?" is not small talk. It's the thread that ties every one of those signals back into a running file on you, your habits, your preferences, your weaknesses, built patiently over years. And that same data does one more thing most people never consider. When millions of shoppers all start trading down to cheaper brands at once, buying less meat, chasing every deal, the store sees it in the numbers weeks before it shows up in any government report. Your grocery store can feel the country's financial pain before the country officially admits it's in pain. And predicting the country's pain is only the beginning of what that data does, because prediction is really about staying one step ahead of you. If a store can guess what a huge share of its shoppers will want next week, it can have exactly that item in exactly the right spot at exactly the price and the wording most likely to make you reach for it, all before you've written your list. The advantage in that is enormous, and it does not run in your favor. It runs in theirs, and it gets more personal than that. Those loyalty profiles, built patiently over years, don't just remember what you buy. They learn when you shop, what pulls you in, which discounts you can never resist, and more, they let the store speak to you differently than the person standing next to you. A different offer, a different nudge, time to arrive at your particular weak moment. Two people can walk into the same store on the same afternoon, buy nearly the same things, and register as two completely different events to the systems humming around them. One profile down to the second, the other paying cash and staying a ghost. On the surface, identical trips. Underneath, one of them handed over a detailed map of exactly how they think and never knew they did it. That map is worth so much that increasingly the information about the shopper is a bigger prize than the sale to the shopper. The groceries are almost the bait. You and everything the store can learn about you are the real catch. So step back and look at all of it at once, because this is where it comes together. The prices, the shrinking boxes, the vanished cashiers, the locked cases, the invisible AI, the cart that takes notes, the loyalty card stitching it all into a profile. Each one arrived with its own perfectly reasonable explanation. Supply chains raised prices, labor costs brought the machines, theft locked the cases, competition drove the AI, convenience sold the smart card. Every explanation is true, and that's exactly what makes it so hard to see. Because underneath all those separate reasonable stories is one single shift. For most of the last century, the question a grocery store asked itself was some version of, how do we serve people well enough that they keep coming back? Service was the whole product. The question driving the store today only sounds similar. It's, how do we optimize this operation, cut every cost, predict every want, and pull the maximum value out of every visit and every square foot? And when the question changes, everything in the building slowly rearranges itself around the new answer. The self-checkout is optimized labor. The locked case is optimized loss. The AI is optimized suspicion. The smart card is optimized data. None of it was built to make your trip worse, but when all of it lands in the same store on the same Tuesday, week after week, the result is very specific. The store quietly stopped being built for the person walking through it and started being built for the systems running underneath it. And that's what you're really feeling when the place seems colder than it used to. It's not one camera or one screen or one locked bottle of shampoo. It's the accumulation. A camera goes up, reasonable. A lane closes, reasonable. A product goes behind glass, reasonable. A card gets scanned, a cart gets a screen. Reasonable, reasonable. None of them alone crosses a line. Together they crossed it, and nobody can say exactly when, because somewhere along the way, the American grocery store quietly split into two businesses wearing one storefront. The one you can see sells you food. The one you can't turns you into information and refines it and sells the picture of you it builds. Most shoppers have no idea the second business exists. They walk in thinking about dinner. They walk out thinking about what they spent. And in between, something else happened all around them, in a language most people don't speak, and they never saw it at all. That's the thing millions of people are feeling and can't name, not the price. The quiet sense that the store is doing something to them beyond just selling them groceries. So let's go back to where we started. You, In the store you've walked into 1,000 times, feeling that it's colder now and not knowing why. Now you know why. It isn't your imagination, and it was never really about the receipt. The place changed underneath you, one reasonable step at a time, until it stopped being somewhere you go and became something that watches you arrive. You're not just the customer here anymore. On every visit, quietly, you're also the product. And the one real defense you have is the thing you have right now, which is simply knowing it, walking in with your eyes open to the second business running behind the first. And sit with one more thing, because it's the part that should bother you most. At no point in any of this were you ever actually asked. There's no form, no moment where anyone explained that the store would begin recording your hesitations, profiling your habits, and treating you as a suspect and a data source at the very same time. It simply started, folded into hardware that was already on the walls, buried in the fine print of a rewards program you joined to save $2 on eggs. Your consent was never requested, because requesting it would have meant saying out loud what was going on. And a thing that has to stay quiet in order to keep working is telling you something about itself if you're willing to hear it. And it's only going to deepen for a simple reason. As long as your attention stays fixed on the price at the register, the far more valuable thing the store is taking will keep flowing out of you unnoticed and unpriced. As long as every reasonable little change gets waved through on its own, the sum of them will keep quietly rebuilding the store around the systems instead of around you. Whether that stays true, whether a grocery store is ever again allowed to be a place for people first, is not a law of nature. It's a choice about what we notice and what we accept, and it's one we haven't made yet. So I'll leave you with the honest question. The next time you walk in for orange juice and a loaf of bread, and something feels a little off that you can't point to, ask yourself who the store is really built for now. And then tell me the one change you've actually noticed yourself. Drop it below. I read everyone.